I woke up in the hospital, my hands bound. The doctor said I'd injured myself, but I remembered distinctly. Someone was living inside my body. At night, I stood before the mirror and saw myself smile, a smile that wasn't mine. I started writing letters to a strange man, signing them with a name that wasn't mine, and he actually came. He held me close and whispered, "You're finally back." I screamed inside my head, but my body no longer obeyed. I had been possessed, and I was watching myself slowly disappear. In all versions, the monster of the White Tower was transparent or like a normal ghost, but there was one very strange version. It spoke of green, moving threads within the White Tower. Ethan tapped the table, his meaning clear. This wasn't something usually found in ghost stories, so where did it come from? Hoping for a stroke of luck, I followed this clue to investigate further, and actually found the senior student who had posted this legend. I was surprised. She helped you. You could say that? Ethan's expression, however, turned a little peculiar. But I don't think she's quite normal. After I found her and introduced myself, I mentioned that I'd also seen the green threads. To my surprise, she sent me a jumbled mess of codes, asking if I recognized them. Of course, I didn't. She then said we had nothing more to talk about. I was at my wit's end, so I had no choice but to tell her my situation, hoping for some information. But she just said there were some things she couldn't explain clearly to me, she could only try to help. Then she sent me 2 defensive items, but didn't teach me how to use them. I had to figure it all out myself. He sighed. The green thread you saw is one of them. It's used to restrict the monster's movements. I asked, what about the other one? It can hide my whereabouts, making it impossible for the monster to find me, and it can also be used to attack, Ethan explained. Fortunately, I had it. I even managed to ambush it once before. What a shame I couldn't finish the damn thing off. It's that powerful? I didn't hide my curiosity, but Ethan didn't intend to show me the 2 items, only describing them briefly. Besides their functions, everything else he said was very vague. By now, I finally understood why he appeared in the White Tower, as he had explained. He believed that if he could completely kill the monster, he would also have a chance to restore everything. The monster could leave the White Tower, but it seemed to have made that place its home. As soon as Ethan injured it, it fled back inside. After confirming this, Ethan, relying on the fact that no one could see him now, followed it in, using the item to fight the monster, hoping to seize an opportunity to attack again. It was just that he couldn't see the transparent monster, and now the monster couldn't see him when he wore the item. It was like 2 blind people moving freely around the room, a stalemate. What if you trick it, tell it you want to gamble again? I suggested. Trick it out and then kill it. Would that work? Ethan shook his head regretfully. I already did that last time. It's learned its lesson. It won't pay attention to me anymore. That's a bit tricky then, I pondered, quickly reorganizing the information I had. Something suddenly clicked in my mind. Wait, you said she could see the green thread. I emphasized the key word, then suddenly slammed the table. The senior you mentioned, did she ever go to Gemstone Bay? I don't know, but she did mention that place to me once and asked if I'd ever been there. Ethan flinched slightly, his voice instantly becoming agitated. How did you know? I have a friend who went there. He told me some related things. Realizing I was finally on the right track, my voice unconsciously became more excited. I want to confirm something. Are the items the senior gave you all normal-looking but have strange stickers on them with writing you can't understand? Yes, yes, yes. Ethan's eyes widened. Did your friend say that too? He described it to me. I tried to put my thoughts into words. I was thrilled that my accumulated knowledge was finally useful. If I'm not mistaken, that senior and your friend are the same type of person. What kind of person? Ethan asked. Special people, perhaps. At this, I started to hesitate again. After a moment of careful thought, I still regretfully shook my head at Ethan. Sorry, there are some things I don't know if I should say. I have to call my friend for confirmation. Why do you need to confirm again? All right. Ethan looked a little disappointed at first, but quickly calmed down. Do you and that friend often communicate? When can he reply fastest? We're quite close. We're currently collaborating on a project. I observed Ethan's expression. That senior is very difficult to contact. Oh, the last time we communicated, she said she was going to Gemstone Bay, and then she didn't talk to me again. Ethan sighed. Perhaps I'm not as close to her as you are. Although it wasn't right to think so, I had to admit I felt a secret joy inside. After all, this was an opportunity I had struggled to find. I genuinely didn't want too many external factors to interfere. "Don't worry, I'll try to ask." I promised sincerely, hesitated a bit, then gathered my courage to take his hand. "Trust me, I'll definitely help you." The body under my palm tensed slightly. I saw Ethan unconsciously want to pull his hand back, but he quickly restrained the movement. After a moment, he also raised his hand, gently placing it on the back of my hand. "Thank you." I didn't think there was anything to thank me for. It's natural to try for someone you like. Being able to help often feels good. Even if it's a bit troublesome, it's fine. Because effort and reward are always proportional. It's just that I wasn't used to someone holding my hand like that, so I withdrew my hand and placed it on the back of his instead. "Oh, right." I suddenly remembered something very important. "Did you bring those 2 items with you? If it's convenient, could I take a picture? It would be perfect to show my friend, just in case he knows anything." This time, Ethan didn't refuse me. He laid the 2 items on the table. Just as I suspected, their appearance was very ordinary. One was a hand-sized statue of a contemplative person, with a sturdy square base it would hurt a lot if you hit someone with it. The other was a spool of green thread, which had clearly been used a lot. At the bottom of both items were stickers with strange, undecipherable patterns. I picked up my phone, trying to capture all the small details. As soon as I finished taking pictures, Ethan stood up. He said he was going back to the White Tower, intending to continue using his previous method to find an opportunity to attack the monster. I didn't linger long either and left, but just before I did, I suddenly remembered something important. "Oh, right, today I also saw the notebook you mentioned." I deliberately told Ethan. It was hidden in a lectern, and the cover had Xuan written on it. "Really?" Ethan's eyes seemed to light up. Seeing that, I unconsciously felt happy too. I described the notebook's location in detail to him. After I finished, Ethan rushed off. I didn't waste any more time. As soon as we parted, I immediately wrote an email to my partner, describing my situation in detail. My partner hadn't responded yet, so I could only suppress the impatience in my heart and return to the hotel. About an hour later, my phone finally rang a QQ notification. I picked it up. It was the girl who had added me to the group earlier. She really cared about my situation, deliberately sending a message to ask if I had found Ethan. "Thanks for your help, we've made contact," I replied politely. "Thank you so much. When you're free, I'd like to treat you to a meal." No need," she quickly replied. "It's good that I could help. Is he all right?" "Very well." At this crucial moment, I didn't want to talk much about him with others, so I just said it casually. The girl responded, and a few seconds later sent another message. "So, are *you all right now?" An unexpected question. I thought for a long time, then finally replied, "Pretty good, why do you ask?" "Nothing, I just felt like asking." The chat window showed the other person typing repeatedly. After an unknown amount of time, her message popped up. "Oh, about high school? I'm sorry." Again, unexpected. I'm usually very good at controlling my expressions, but at this moment I truly found it hard to hold back. I asked her what she meant. This time, she replied very quickly. She meant during the 11th grade sports festival, I didn't watch your bag and they took it. That's why you were locked in the White Tower. I'm truly sorry. "Ah, that time?" I blinked, replying coldly. "It's fine, it's all in the past, I forgot about it ages ago." I wrote this sentence and sent it. After sending it, I realized my tone was a bit stiff. I paused for a moment, then patiently typed another sentence. "It's really fine. It was just the White Tower, it's not like no one ever goes there. I even tested my courage there. It was just kid stuff." "What do you mean, test your courage? Clearly, they were just teasing you." The girl replied very quickly. "Actually, you should have reported it to a teacher then." Oh, I didn't want to write another self-reflection report for attracting attention. I tried to joke about myself. "All right, it's all in the past. Looking back, they were just being playful. It was my own fault for not fitting in." As soon as I finished, the girl on the other end seemed unsure what to say. She started typing, and after a long time, finally said, "As long as you're happy. But looking back now, it's also a case of good begetting good and evil begetting evil." Not long after, she sent another sentence. It seems heaven has eyes. My fingertip paused. I quickly sent a question mark. What do you mean? Oh, you don't know, the girl quickly replied. That frivolous girl who led the bullying failed university entrance exams, restudied for 2 years straight, and still couldn't pass. Now she's a bit crazy, a NEET at home. NEET, what's that? NEET is an acronym for Not in Education, Employment, or Training. These are individuals who intentionally refuse to work or study and tend to withdraw from social interactions with others. Oh my, how did that happen? I was surprised. Her grades were very good, weren't they? What good is a sharp mind if your character is rotten? Otherwise, she wouldn't have gone crazy back then because you took her spot in the advanced class. The girl continued, and her boyfriend too. He got into a second-tier university, but I heard he stayed up late playing games and died suddenly. That's terrible, isn't it? I unconsciously blurted out. Wasn't he on the national informatics team? He had good health. Who knows, they're all trash anyway, the girl said. It's a good thing Ethan's brother protected you back then. If not, oh, wait. She seemed confused. Hold on, the one who protected you back then was his brother, right? This information also startled me a bit before I reacted. She probably meant Ethan, but it was similar enough. I didn't correct her, just replied vaguely, finally ending the conversation. Ah, wait. Goodness, writing this part just reminded me. I think I forgot to mention something earlier, didn't I? Sorry, so sorry. This is my first time writing, so I focused on the beginning and forgot the end. So I'll make up for it here. Such an important premise, how could I forget? My high school days weren't very happy. I was often humiliated. To put it formally, it was bullying, I suppose. But I didn't think it was that serious. At least looking back now, it was just childish pranks. I always believed that I should find a way to get back up and move forward instead of dwelling on a painful past. That was the most important thing. What's more, precisely because of that past, the companions I found in the darkness became even more precious. At least it was because of that time that I decided the path I wanted to follow later, and the person I wanted to love. All right, no more thinking about that. Let's continue our story. But what happened later wasn't really worth mentioning. I simply returned to the hotel alone, continued to think and research documents. If I wrote it all out, everyone would probably feel like it was an accounting ledger. It was another hour later before I finally received a reply from my partner. And just 10 minutes after reading the reply, I received a phone call. A call from Ethan. To be precise, it was a distress call from Ethan. As soon as I heard his voice, I almost lost control. I didn't know how to describe the emotions in my heart. I only knew that after hanging up the phone, I covered my face and rushed out. Ethan had contacted me using the phone number I left on WeChat. When I arrived at his location, I finally found him. He was lying by the roadside, his face pale as if he was about to faint. He had a wound on his shoulder, a sprained ankle, and a green thread was tangled on him. According to him, while acting in the White Tower, he had fallen into the monster's trap. The situation was very bad then. He didn't dare to linger, hurriedly crawling out of the White Tower with both hands and feet, crawling all the way to the school gate before he could make a phone call. Because no one could see him but me, and at this hour, I couldn't enter the school and get him out. His face was covered in wounds, a red scrape on his cheekbone. Looking at him, I felt terribly sorry. I quickly hailed a taxi back to his place, but afraid the driver would be suspicious, I tried not to talk to him along the way. Only when I helped him lie down on the bed did I have a chance to ask what happened. That thing, it's grown a brain, Ethan said, looking like he was in too much pain to stay conscious, clenching his teeth as he spoke. I found the notebook you mentioned, not paying attention to the chalk dust on the ground. Logically, when carrying the items, that monster shouldn't have been able to see me. But when I took out the notebook, I accidentally stepped on the chalk dust, revealing my tracks. Even stranger, it seemed the monster had prepared beforehand. Almost as soon as my presence was revealed, the fluorescent light above fell down. To dodge, I could only step back, but I didn't expect the monster to be standing right behind the curtain. I was caught off guard, and it was extremely difficult to find an opportunity to draw my weapon. The result was that as soon as I pulled it out, it ran away, as if it had anticipated it. Ethan closed his eyes in annoyance. I knew it. That bastard is getting harder and harder to deal with. Don't talk anymore, I said, hastily tending to the wound on his shoulder. Do you have any medicine at home? Bandages and antiseptic alcohol? Nothing at all. I paced anxiously, quickly pulling out my phone. Damn, my phone's dead. Use mine to buy them. All the payments are password-free, Ethan said weakly, handing me his phone. I quickly browsed Taobao and food delivery apps. Very quickly, I bought all the necessary items. As soon as I returned the phone, I heard a knock at the door. I flinched slightly. Food delivery already? No way. Ethan frowned, his face suddenly changing. There's a green thread outside the door. Did you see any green thread outside when you came in? I did, but I was so busy helping you in that I pulled it off. It was blocking the door, I said, realizing as I spoke that Ethan's face was getting paler and paler. Only then did I understand. You mean outside, that thing could be out there? But in answer to my question, the knocking quickly turned into violent banging. Ethan's face grew even uglier. Damn it, I screwed up. It can't see me, but it can see *U**. It followed you here, Ethan said, unconsciously trying to stand up but collapsing back down from the pain. I panicked. Then what should I do? I'll block the door, okay? But the medicine delivery person will arrive soon. Calm down, Ethan quickly reassured me, gritting his teeth and pulling a spool of green thread from his pocket. Hurry, use this to block the door. Whatever you do, don't let it in. And this too, take it. It won't see you. The small protective statue and the spool of thread were both pushed towards me. I nodded repeatedly, not saying another word, and stepped outside, my hands trembling as I held the two items. Fortunately, the monster outside didn't seem to be very patient. After I successfully arranged the green thread, the noise outside suddenly disappeared. I didn't waste this opportunity, quickly finished arranging the items, and returned to the bedroom, facing Ethan's pale face. I carefully returned the items to him, continuing to treat his wounds. Soon, the ordered medicines were delivered one by one. This time, I was very careful not to accidentally break the green thread I had laid out. Ethan silently watched me apply the medicine, then suddenly spoke. Oh, I just remembered. Does your friend have any information? I nodded, but didn't know where to begin. After thinking for a long time, I finally said, well, there's something I need to confirm first, Ethan. After your last gamble with the monster, after people couldn't see you anymore, did it ever actively attack you? Ethan flinched slightly, his eyes instantly widening. Yes, of course, it did. Otherwise, why would I have green threads at my door? But how did you know? I guessed, I said softly, remembering what my partner had just sent me. I couldn't help but clench my hands. Ethan, you're really lucky. Although I feel a little envious saying this, it's a good thing you found that senior. What do you mean? This time, it was Ethan's turn to ask. I looked at him seriously. That monster wants to kill you, didn't you realize? I just knew it suddenly became very aggressive. Ethan's mouth was slightly agape. But why? Because you've become accustomed to it. I honestly recounted everything I had carefully prepared. Remember Gemstone Bay, the place the senior mentioned? The monster came from there. If I'm not mistaken, it's probably fragments of the meteor that used to be in the astronomy club room. I heard a meteor once fell in the Gemstone Bay area, and since then, it's become extremely strange. Some people who pass by get infected with a virus, and their brains and bodies become abnormal. My friend and that senior are like that, but in return, they know many more things. It's just that their ability to express themselves is limited. That must be why the senior couldn't say much to you, Ethan. Unable to express themselves? What the hell is that? Ethan frowned even more tightly. No, wait, then how could your friend tell you? He's a specialist in this field. Due to personal reasons, he's no longer as limited as before, I explained further. But there are still many things he can't tell me. Even if he could, I couldn't tell you. What's the point of telling me about this kind of setup if I can't understand it? Ethan seemed a little worried. What about that monster then? Are there others? I nodded slightly. He said this is an unnatural life form that came with the meteor. He calls them the threaded ones. Ethan was puzzled. Green threads. Because in their eyes, this type of monster isn't transparent. It's made of green curves, I patiently explained. But no matter what, the monster inherently has no physical body. That's why they always try to acquire one. Some threaded ones will choose to parasitize, but some will exchange. Through a set of rules, they legally exchange bodies with their target, inheriting everything from the other person, replacing that person's existence. The gamble you mentioned before must be part of the threaded one's exchange rules. I spoke slowly, observing Ethan's expression. And when the exchange has progressed to a certain extent, the threaded ones can acquire a complete body through killing. No wonder, he looked a little dejected. No wonder it suddenly became so aggressive back then, and even now it can ambush me. I kept thinking it was forcing me to gamble again. If I wanted you to gamble again, I wouldn't be so aggressive. I put myself in its shoes. My uncle once said, the best gambit is to turn the opponent's strategy against them. Your uncle, Ethan looked up. The one who went to jail? You played dirty too much. If you didn't go to jail, someone would have chopped you up. I shrugged calmly. In short, that's all I could find out. But Ethan, there's one thing I'm quite curious about. Ethan, what is it? My friend said that actually, transactions with the threaded ones are very harsh. According to their rules, if you lose a gamble 3 times, you have to hand over your body. But according to Ms. Wu's account, after graduating high school, you still frequently went to the White Tower. I don't think you were just visiting, right? You went to find the monster to gamble, didn't you? But it's been so long, could it be that you've only lost a total of 3 times? No matter how I think about it, it seems impossible. Ethan's face changed. He quickly turned away. It was just a small trick, nothing worth mentioning. Is that so? I silently observed him, seeing that he genuinely had no intention of speaking, so I didn't press him. I smiled, stood up, and walked out. Just as I was about to reach the door, Ethan called me back. Oh, right, did your friend tell you anything more useful? He confirmed with me, looking a little awkward. For example, how to record a debt if you lose a gamble. No, I said without hesitation. He didn't tell me any of those things. I'm telling the truth. Hearing that, Ethan seemed to realize something, nodding thoughtfully, and didn't say anything more. From that day on, Ethan remained at home recuperating. Although it sounds a bit sad, he only had me now. I checked out of the hotel, brought my luggage here, took care of his daily life, and tried to help him survive. It was very troublesome, but since I was helping the person I loved, it wasn't a problem. Ethan once wondered why only I could see him. I thought it was obvious. Because I came here for you, I said, helping him fold clothes, no longer hiding my intentions. I wasn't surprised when he was so scared he spilled the cup of water he was holding. I laughingly handed him a tissue, hearing him stammer, "Since when?" "Since high school. Back then, weren't a lot of people bullying me? Only you helped me." I opened my mouth, avoiding Ethan's outstretched hand and pressing the tissue into his chest. At that time, I thought I absolutely had to give you the reward you deserved. Whether you believe it or not, for a very long time, I've only had eyes for you, Ethan. Ethan froze, then after a long pause, he said, You mean 11th grade, or else. What else? I said gently, helping him wipe the water from his chest, throwing away the tissue, and turning around. I noticed he looked a little pale, lost in thought. What are you thinking, I wonder? I don't know. No matter what, I really liked this time, especially after I found that notebook. I found the notebook in Ethan's clothes. Although it had been pressed out of shape, I recognized it at first glance as the notebook I had found in the White Tower. I opened it. Inside were scribbled handwritings, recording the rules of transaction with the monster in a very uncomfortable way. Just as Ethan said, gambling and betting money, and so on. It seemed much more complete than what I had told Ethan, even describing in detail the surrender rituals for both sides. The ritual even required both sides to negotiate with each other. It was written very solemnly, so solemnly it was a bit stupid. I wondered who wrote it. This is what people usually call supernatural rule stories, right? I'm not good at these things, but it looks very similar. Speaking of supernatural rule stories, I actually had some things I couldn't understand. Why do some people in stories tacitly assume that the rules they see are trustworthy? Why do they think the survival methods they find are correct? Haven't they read Human Bone Key? But it doesn't matter. This isn't what I should be concerned about. The content of the notebook was incomplete. 2 pages were clearly missing in the middle. I didn't care and casually flipped to the last page, but there was an extremely long list. Long, but in reality, only about a dozen names. Different names had different markings beside them, some were checked, some were crossed out. Coincidentally, I knew most of them, especially those who were crossed out. I knew them very well. This feeling of familiarity was truly satisfying. After a few such days, Ethan could finally get out of bed. I asked him about his future plans with a little worry. He just looked at the green threads blocking his door and remained silent. Another day passed, and finally, as if he had made up his mind, he said to me seriously, "I've decided. I still have to gamble again," he said. "I've studied the rules. As long as it's during the game, it won't be able to kill me. Besides, I don't want to continue like this." I replied to him as I hung clothes on the balcony. There seemed to be something in his jacket. I pulled out 2 sheets of paper that had been swollen by water. I quickly opened them and glanced at them. They were drafts, so I stuffed them back. Ethan continued from behind me, "And what you told me earlier, I've thought it through carefully. Thank you for liking me for so long. I'm very touched. But right now, I'm sorry, I really can't reciprocate your feelings." It wasn't an unexpected answer. I smiled, turning to him as if nothing had happened. "It's okay, I just wanted to let you know, I never intended to ask anything of you." "Even if you say that, I can't pretend I didn't hear it." Ethan looked at me, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly, then he quickly lowered his eyes. "Moreover, there's something I've thought about carefully, and I absolutely have to tell you the truth." "Yes," I looked at him encouragingly, sitting down on the chair beside him. "Tell me." "The things you experienced in 11th grade are actually partly related to me." He closed his eyes, speaking with difficulty. "At that time, I hadn't matured yet. I was very arrogant. I couldn't accept the fact that someone was better than me, and that person was even a student from a normal class." I froze for a moment. After a long time of thinking, I still didn't know what kind of expression to make. And then, thinking it over and over, it seemed I could only ask further. "Then, in the school team, I had some buddies and some other friends from the club. At that time, we were all very stupid. Really, very stupid." He rubbed his face vigorously. "I'm sorry." I heard him apologize, but I still didn't know what to say. His voice seemed to come from a very distant world, reminding me of the butterflies I loved most as a child, so beautiful. But when I finally caught one and held it in my hand to admire, I discovered its scales were so repulsive. Its thin insect legs were also extremely ugly. But that wasn't the saddest part. Do you know what was sadder? It was that even so, I still loved butterflies, loved them to this very day. I slowly let out a sound, thinking it was strange. "Then why did you keep helping me back then? Was it because you found it interesting, or was it funny?" No, not really. Whether you believe it or not, I actually respected you a lot. Really, you were the most talented person I had ever met. Even with your family situation, you still did better than others." "What kind of family situation?" I calmly asked again. "A single mother, your uncle in jail, burdened with debt. Does being liked by someone like me make you feel dirty?" No, please believe me, I really didn't mean that. At that time, I didn't think so much." He exhaled heavily. "At that time, I didn't understand, but now I do. I didn't mean to tease you, I just didn't want you to hate me." "Then you succeeded," I nodded. "I don't hate you. That morning, around 4 a.m., I think, when you ran to the White Tower to help me open the bathroom door that had been blocked all night, I even thought you were an angel." That really had nothing to do with me. I only found out the next day, and then I immediately rushed to school." He looked flustered, unsure what to say, burying his face in his hands. After an unknown amount of time, he let out a sigh, as if giving up. "I don't expect your forgiveness. I just think I should apologize, and besides, you should know this." After speaking, he slowly took out a box from behind him. "My current situation doesn't allow me to compensate you. I just bought this for you, hoping you'll like it." I looked at the box, almost bursting out laughing from anger. "For me?" "Yes," he nodded firmly. I couldn't help but chuckle, opening the box. Inside was a butterfly-shaped bracelet. "I plan to perform the ritual tomorrow, to find that monster and make a final gamble," Ethan said in a low voice. "I don't know what the outcome will be, but if you forgive me." "I forgive you," I said, "then wear it." He looked up in surprise. "What did you say?" "I said I forgive you." I raised my hand and put on the bracelet. "That's how it is." He opened his mouth incredulously. Just like that." Yes, I looked at him. If I have to find a reason, I'll point to your jacket pocket. It's because I found a notebook there. Behind the notebook, there's a long list of names. Some are checked, some are crossed out. And coincidentally, those crossed out names are all the people who used to bully me. I looked them up online. Those people just happen to all be dead. I tilted my head, looking at him. I don't think this is a coincidence. Ethan was silent again. I saw his eyes widen slightly, and then his pupils briefly wavered. After another moment, he took a deep, firm breath. I'm sorry, I never intended to tell you these things. He said he knew he had no right to say this, but he thought they had to pay for what they had done. The pain they caused me couldn't just pass by so lightly, and it so happened that he could also borrow the monster's power. That's how humans are, aren't they? Once they have supernatural power, they want to do things like acting as divine justice. It's funny, right? He looked at me, smiling awkwardly but firmly. I had to say his face was very handsome. He even had dimples when he smiled. Yes, very funny. I unconsciously touched his face. And so, my confession to Ethan ended. On one hand, it was because I didn't want to complicate things at this moment. On the other hand, I truly loved the butterfly-shaped bracelet he gave me. He always remembered that I liked butterflies. He even proactively talked about the butterfly clasp notebooks I used in high school and the accordion I used in the 10th grade talent show. Speaking of which, it's a bit regrettable. That accordion was beautiful, but for some reason, I never saw it again later. Of course, he had never seen that accordion. It was a gift my uncle gave me. Thanks to his excellent skills, my uncle once had a lot of money. Unfortunately, his gambling fraud was later exposed and he crossed some people he shouldn't have. So overnight, he ended up in jail. My family was also implicated, burdened with a huge amount of debt. To pay it off in 11th grade, I sold my accordion. It was my most cherished possession, but also the most valuable thing I owned. When I finally got the money, I tried very hard to hold it in, but I couldn't help but burst into tears. Because I sold it secretly from my mother, I didn't know how to explain where the money came from, so I could only cry and stuff it into the butterfly clasp notebook, planning to find an opportunity to give it to her. All right, no more sad stories. It's all in the past now. Let's get back to the story. On the third day after he gave me the butterfly bracelet, Ethan decided to perform the ritual at home, requesting to gamble with the monster again. Perhaps to seek a spiritual pillar, he even asked me to wear the bracelet and stay by his side. But the situation developed somewhat awkwardly because the monster didn't appear in response to the ritual. Instead, a piece of paper appeared at the doorstep. The handwriting on the paper was similar to that in the notebook, clearly stating the time and location of the gamble. We ran there and found it was an escape room. The manager let us in, telling us that someone named Ethan had booked an appointment for us and also gave us the rules of the game. He said there were a total of 3 playing cards hidden in this room. We just needed to find these 3 cards within the stipulated time to win. Otherwise, we would lose. Oh, right, the reason I keep writing "we" is because at this point, I couldn't asterisk not follow Ethan because no one could see him. Without me, he couldn't even enter the secret room. What about it? No one saw Ethan standing next to me, his still healing body swaying slightly. Where's that monster? It didn't appear. I acted as a loudspeaker, seriously relaying his question to the manager. The manager was very confused. You mean Mr. Han who made the appointment? He doesn't need to come in. He asked me to tell you that winning or losing is fine. The rules are clearly stated. They can't be faked. How clever. In other words, that monster gentleman had set up a contactless gamble. It was very clear, just as Ethan had worried, that thing was growing up too fast. It had been ambushed with a brick before, so now it didn't dare to show its face. This also meant that Ethan's chance to attack it again was completely thwarted. Perhaps that's why his face was even paler than when I picked him up by the roadside earlier. Time passed and his face grew increasingly green. Although the scene we faced wasn't grand, and there was plenty of time, trying to find those thin poker cards with his exploding mental state was truly too difficult for him. No. Finally, in the last 10 minutes before the countdown, his impatience reached its peak. Are you kidding me? I can't find anything. He violently threw the blanket he was holding. It's like this again. I can't win this gamble. Calm down, I said. searching and comforting him, deliberately exposing half of my Bluetooth earpiece to avoid being mistaken for a crazy person talking to myself. There are still 10 minutes left. We still have a chance. What chance? He had barely finished speaking when he fell silent. I've already turned everything upside down. I thought he had found a card, so I quickly turned around, but to my surprise, he strode straight towards me. Where's your bracelet? He grabbed my wrist, staring at it incredulously. The bracelet I gave you, where is it? I didn't wear it because it felt troublesome, I said softly, trying to pull my hand back, but he held it tight. Why didn't you wear it? Didn't I tell you? It was a gift from me, and I hoped you could make it realize its value. Value? What value? I turned to look at him. Ethan was silent. What value? I asked again calmly, pulling my hand back forcefully. The value of pleasing me, the value of satisfying your desire to show off, or the value of protecting you after you lose the gamble. I stressed every word, not surprised to see Ethan's already pale face grow even uglier. How did you know? He looked at me stiffly. Did your friend tell you? I found it myself. At this point, I was too lazy to pretend and leaned against the wall behind me. Ethan, a little reminder for you. Next time you tear something up, just throw it away or swallow it. Don't stuff it in your pocket. It gets in the way when I'm washing clothes. Yes, those were the 2 pieces of paper. The 2 pieces of paper I found in his jacket pocket. Don't you think it's clever? They just happened to be the 2 torn pages from the notebook. It wasn't until then that I understood why he deliberately asked me if my friend had a method for recording debts after losing a gamble. It wasn't that he wanted to know. It was that he didn't want *me* to know. I stared at the running wall clock, trying to control my pace, and said, "Thanks to the gift, you'll complete the debt transfer. Presumably, the monster will collect your previous debts from others, and it will be random collection. If they're lucky, nothing will happen. If they're unlucky, they'll die in your place. Ethan, there's a long list of names after the notebook. Even if they're all trash, they're still your friends, and you just sold them out. People came from afar to visit and give you gifts, and you, well done, made them lose their lives." I laughed coldly, crossing my arms and looking at him. "Aren't you going to shamelessly say it was for me, Ethan? Your tongue is very persuasive. Why aren't you gambling anymore? Oh, right, it's because you don't dare. Of course, how could you dare? Because no one sees you, no one knows you anymore. There's no one left to bear your debts. But there's still one idiot like me. I have you in my heart. I can see you. I was bullied and humiliated, but because of you, I still saw you as a hero." Ethan was completely silent. I savored his expression, knowing I had calculated everything correctly. He didn't even try to defend himself. At most, it was just a "they might not necessarily die" kind of remark. I looked at the wall clock. Good, save some time. I hate that you tricked me, used me like an idiot. I reluctantly curled my lips, trying to force a smile. But I know, at this moment, my eyes must be red-rimmed. Even so, I took out the bracelet and put it back on my hand, right in front of him. But what I hate most is that even like this, I still can't give you up. I saw Ethan's eyes widen, his gaze filled with shock. I knew I had calculated correctly again. "No, wait, Ethan suddenly opened his mouth wide, quickly glanced at the wall clock, hesitated slightly, but still lunged forward. Take it off, take it off. I'm a bad person, you don't have to." The 3-minute countdown began to sound, and he paused. I pushed his hand away again, stepping back a few paces, then wiped the tears from the corner of my eyes. I know some readers will probably be uncomfortable seeing things come to this. In fact, even I feel a little uncomfortable. I don't even dare to believe that someone would patiently read this far. But as I said in the introduction, everything I write is based on real experience. I don't know if everyone understands, but there are some people, some creatures, who seem very stable but are actually quite fragile. It's like a morning glory, it needs love to grow. And its love is so simple that as long as it has a chance, it will try its best for you. Perhaps some people would be content to enjoy these things, but I am not that kind of person. Effort will be rewarded, that is what I always believe. That's why, even though it's troublesome, I'm still standing here, my tear-filled eyes wide open, silently looking at the person in front of me. "Ethan, I wasn't lying," I said softly. "That day, when you opened the bathroom door and saved me, in my eyes, you truly were like an angel. I hope you'll remember, if I truly die because of this gamble, I won't die for you. I'll die for the person who once made my heart tremble. If I don't die, I'll leave this place. Next time, no one will help you anymore. In reality, there wasn't. If there were only 2 minutes left and we had only found one card, even a plot twist wouldn't help. But I knew Ethan would speak. After all, he wasn't a bad person, so at this moment, he would definitely speak. No, there's still a chance. Indeed, he said, though his voice was very soft, there's still one last way. I can surrender. According to the rules, as long as I surrender, it must appear. As long as I seize that opportunity and kill it, everything still has a chance. The countdown reached 1 minute. Without further hesitation, I used my love and tears to force him, watching him slowly back away. I saw him take out that notebook. I saw him close his eyes, clutching the statue in his pocket as if grasping at his last hope. I surrender, I heard him say. I knew my love had finally been fulfilled. Oh, you don't understand? I suppose that's right. After all, as everyone knows, there are many things that are inconvenient to write out. I'm just an ordinary person who is blindly devoted in love. I don't want things to seem too complicated. For example, I was once lectured by the head of the department until I cried, just because I insisted I saw red chalk writing, "Save me," repeatedly on the blackboard in the White Tower. For example, the first time I was maliciously locked in the White Tower, I was so depressed that I desperately wrote, "Save me," on the blackboard. For example, I once received a strange reply in my despair. That's why I also chose to reply to that strangeness. For example, I'm grateful to the transparent figure who silently sat down next to me, slowly calming me with scribbled words in the lonely late night. You can't imagine how patient and gentle it was. It was like a collection of love. That monster was actually a very gentle monster. It would quietly listen to me cry and let me hug it through the bulging curtain. The monster wrote too slowly, so I gave it an old phone. It quickly learned how to type, and then even used the phone to tell stories. Sometimes it told stories about what it had seen in the darkness after becoming a monster. Sometimes it told old stories from when it was human. It said it had once passed by Gemstone Bay, and the meteor fragment in the school coincidentally appeared. Then it was tricked by the monster in that meteor fragment, foolishly gambling with the other party. After 3 losses, it completely lost itself. The other party had exchanged into its identity, controlling its parents to take itself away from here. It had become an invisible monster, day after day wandering around the classrooms of the White Tower with nothing left but a vague surname. Coincidentally, during the time I was being bullied, I genuinely wanted to die, so I asked it why it didn't want to gamble with me. If I lost to it, it would live in my place and I would die in its place. It refused this offer without thinking. It said I had never been to Gemstone Bay. I wasn't like them. If it exchanged with me, I wouldn't even retain consciousness. This matter was thus set aside. I originally didn't want to think about it further. Until one day, during the sports festival, I was called away for an urgent matter, so I asked a female acquaintance to watch my bag. But my bag was stolen. The thieves threw all the contents around the classrooms in the White Tower. I had to pick up each item. The invisible monster was also helping me pick them up. At this time, I truly no longer had the heart to resent anyone. Even though I knew how they not only bullied me but also secretly mocked me, I heard it with my own ears. Ethan was among them, but I still felt that some things you just have to ignore and live on, just endure a little. It wasn't until I found the butterfly clasp notebook again. When I found it, the clasp on it had been violently smashed. Opening the notebook, there was no money left inside. A little white powder still lingered on the pages. I recognized this type of chalk. Every time Ethan used the horizontal bar, he would rub a lot of it on his hands. At that very moment, I thought I had to do something. I wanted some people to pay a heavy price. I also wanted my monster to have a beautiful body. I'm not particularly intelligent, but you have to believe that as long as you have the will, there will be someone much stupider than you. As I said before, creating a half-true, half-false rule isn't difficult. Once you know someone's weakness, it's easy to trick them. It's quite easy to lure him into a trap. My uncle taught me many cheating techniques. I also taught them to the monster. It's even easier to use him to identify other people. Just invent some kind of gambling credit rule out of nowhere, and he'll surely obediently lead my monster to find those who shouldn't live after losing a gamble. A bit troublesome was that I went to college far from home, so I couldn't see the monster again. So I downloaded an email app on its phone. After all, the White Tower had electricity. It could piggyback on the school's network. That monster was very obedient and very compliant, never going against any of my requests. Every day it would clumsily say good morning and good night. Whenever it had to deal with someone, it would obediently report the progress to me. That's why when I knew it had lost contact with me, I didn't hesitate and flew back immediately. Sure enough, there was a problem. Clearly, it was only a little bit away. But actually, the problem wasn't too big. It was just that this kid's tendency to avoid was a bit serious. Encounter a problem and it just becomes withdrawn. Disobeying me, would it just lie there and wait to be beaten? As long as I could figure out how to find Ethan, as long as I could find the origin of his items, as long as I could find a way to win his trust, as long as I could seize the opportunity when he wasn't paying attention to destroy his items, as long as he had enough sense of crisis to voluntarily follow the path already laid out, wouldn't there be no more problems? Ah, no, there were still a few problems, because the final step in body swapping isn't killing or gambling, but the phrase, I surrender. Fortunately, just as my uncle said, the best gambit is to turn the opponent's strategy against them. This was a bit troublesome. It took me so many days, but there was no other way. It's still that same saying. If you truly put in the effort, you'll receive a worthy reward, right?